So, good evening, everyone. And thank you for joining us today. We're delighted to have you here for our webinar on the occasion of the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. If not, when? And if not now, a United European Voice for Women's Safety. Before we begin, let me briefly walk you through what to expect. So here's today's agenda. First of all, Dr. Bashak Ovacik will hold an opening speech. Then we will listen to the speakers. Let me just read out the names. Susanna Fernandez Learte, Sinem Nasli Demir, and Marit Levoniemi. Please correct your names. I think it's always a matter of respect to pronunciate it in the right way. And I'm quite sure it wasn't right. I'm sorry. So, and afterwards there will be time for a Q&A session. And well, we encourage you to stay engaged. Feel free to use the chat or the Q&A box at any time, and we'll make sure your questions are addressed during the discussion segment. So once again, thank you for being here, and let's get started.
Esteemed members of the University Women of Europe, distinguished guests, I extend my greetings and affection to all of you at this meaningful gathering organized on the occasion of the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women, November 25th. Welcome to all. Today, we are not just marking a date on the calendar. Today, we are gathered to take a stand against violence, one of the most devastating human rights violations faced by women and girls worldwide. November 25th commemorates the memory of the Mirabal sisters, who were brutally murdered in 1960 in the Dominican Republic while struggling against dictatorship. Their courage reminds us that it is our duty to not remain silent in the face of violence. Today is the day to renew our pledge to stand against all forms of violence, upholding their legacy. Violence against women does not only leave physical scars. This violence hinders women's self-confidence, social participation, and progress in education and professional life. This is not merely an individual tragedy. It is a global problem that directly threatens our social development and welfare. A society where women are not safe cannot achieve its full potential. This struggle is not solely the responsibility of the state or civil society. It is everyone's responsibility. We can only overcome this difficult path through collective effort. Education. The most fundamental solution involves a change in mindset. We must eradicate the cultural roots of violence by teaching gender equality, respect, and empathy from an early age. To foster a gender-equal mindset, one must adopt language that consciously avoids reproducing patriarchal biases, thereby moving beyond sexist communication. Secondly, legislation. We must apply the principle of zero tolerance in the fight against violence without compromise, strengthen protection mechanisms, and increase deterrence. Implementation of CEDAW and Istanbul Convention is inevitable. Support. We must continuously develop accessible, safe, and holistic support mechanisms, including shelters and legal aid services for women who are victims of violence. We must never allow a woman to be left behind. Let us remember that the cycle of violence is fueled by silence. The purpose of our gathering here today is to break this silence and become the voice for every woman whose voice has been suppressed. In this struggle, we must keep our home alive, a woman's right to live a life of equality and free from violence is not a debatable luxury. It is a fundamental human right. I would like to conclude my speech with a call that will reinforce the determination of all of us. If not now, when? Let us commit, starting today, to be active ambassadors and active preventers against every act of violence we witness in our surroundings. Let us work together for a future free of violence in our homes, workplaces, and streets. Thank you all for your participation and for your sensitivity you have shown toward this crucial issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Başak. So I would like to introduce our first speaker, Susana Fernandez Liarte. She's a Spanish psychologist and speech therapist at the Matryoshka Child and Adolescent Clinic, associate psychologist with the Equality Department of the Cartagena City Council, specialist in behavioral and health science methodology, specialist in educational guidance. She's holding a master's degree in interdisciplinary intervention in gender-based violence and is a doctoral researcher in psychology. Thank you so much, and stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Right. I would like to share the first. I have a presentation, but I cannot share it.
Well, I'm sorry, I can't open it.
You can give the floor to Susanna. You can make her host so that she can share.
Okay. Okay.
Now, perfect. It's okay? You
Yes.
see? Right. Perfect. Well, you see it correctly and you heard me, right? But give me one moment. But, well, first, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all of the people and institutions that have made this webinar possible. I also want to thank everyone joining us today. My thanks go to the president of this organization, to Marite, and obviously to Maria Liaño, the president of the Murcia Association of University Women, and to all of you for placing your trust in me today. But above all, I want to acknowledge the women who have fought, who continue to fight, and who will keep fighting for a world where equality, co-education, and the fundamental rights of women prevail. I want to thank to women who often anonymously work every day to make this world a place where women can live freely and with dignity. Today, I feel both privilege and responsibility to bring their voice here with you. I have divided this presentation into two parts. The first one, we will look at some statistics, right, key figures on gender-based violence in Spain. In the second part, we will discuss the psychological intervention process used normally with offenders or perpetrators. First, let me provide some context, right? In Spain, gender-based violence refers to violence perpetrated against women by their current or former partners, whether or not they live together. This definition is part of an an important law, right? The Organic Law 1/2004, which created a comprehensive legal and institutional framework to prevent and respond to that type of violence. Gender-based violence include physical, psychological, sexual, and economic abuse. And it is rooted in gender inequality and power imbalance between between men and women, which are based on an still patriarchal and androcentric model of society. Understanding this context is essential and is as it demonstrated that gender violence is not an isolated problem, but a structural, social, and cultural issue that require a structural, cultural, and social solution. Prevention strategies, as we will see below, are fundamental. The first part, right? Let me talk about some statistics, as I said, on gender-based violence in Spain. The information I will share comes from the National Statistic Institute and from the Women's Observatory, which is part of the State Secretariat for Equality and the Minister of Equality. In 2024, almost 200,000 reports of gender-based violence were filed in Spain. If we write that down, it's about approximately 550 reports every single day. And yes, the numbers are still extremely worrying. The Spanish organic law that I mentioned before, 2004, created a wide range of institutional, legal, medical, psychological, and financial resources to respond to this problem. One of those tools is the protection order, which can be used by the duty judge or by the specialized court on violence against women. These orders are granted after looking at the medical reports, the police reports, and other sorry, give me 1 second. And others sign that women or her children might be at risk. Also, in the same year, around, this one, 40,000 protection orders were issued across the country. And sadly, in the same year, 2024, 48 women were killed by their partner or ex-partner. I have new result, right? This one. This graphic is the most recently that we have now in Spain, right? This graphic was published by the Minister of Equality November 17, a few days ago. Since the organic law that I mentioned in 2004, right, came into force, the number of victims, as you can see, has decreased. But in my opinion, it's still not nearly enough. A few important points are fundamental in these numbers, right, in this report. This year, in 2025, right, until today, 38 women have been murdered, leaving 20 children under 18 without their mothers. Between 30 and 35% of the victims and offenders or perpetrators were between 41 and 50 years old. And in 80% of the cases, the couple was living together at that time. This number reminds us that although there has been progress, there is still so much work to do. But there's something else we really need to keep in mind. Gender-based violence has to be addressed in a holistic way, right? Even though the number of victims is devastating, we cannot overlook psychological, sexual, economic, and of course, digital violence. We need to talk seriously about digital gender-based violence and about what is happening with the young people today. Another report, right, in 2021, the Reina Sofia Research Center published a report with a very worrying finding. 2 out of every 10 teenage girls say they have been pressured or forced into sexual activity by their partner, right? And according to the National Macro Survey on Violence Against Adolescent Girls carried out by the Minister of Equality, 6.2% of girls aged 16 and 17 reported experiencing physical violence by a partner or ex-partner. 6.5% reported sexual violence. 70% reported emotional abuse, and 25% have experienced psychological violence or controlling behaviors. In my professional experience, I have seen all of this reflected in every single day. This number clearly shows the need to continue running prevention campaigns to debunk myths about romantic love and to promote healthy relationship model based on communication, trust, and please respect. Any question? Are you agree with all of that?
So we just ask everyone to use the chat, you know, and
when the second part, right? When we talk about intervention with men who use violence, we can come across several different situations. On one hand, there are men who are required to attend intervention program as part of a judicial measure. On the other hand, there are those who voluntarily recognize harmful behaviors and actively seek help to change them. Spain used several types of intervention programs, many of which are based on psychological and obviously educational approaches. A common model in psychological therapy, right, is the cognitive behavioral therapy, which helps offenders rethink belief that justify violence, develop empathy, manage emotion, and take responsibility for their action. Most programs are conducted in group settings, which allow participants to listen to other men, challenge harmful narratives, and reflect on their own behavior. In some cases, participation, as I said, is mandatory as part of a court sentence. In my daily practice, I have worked normally with this second group, and I want to highlight this because voluntary participation matters. When a man recognizes that his behavior is unhealthy toward his partner or ex-partner and chooses to come to therapy on his own, a significant part of the therapeutic goals is already underway. Generally, the issues we work on include jealous, controlling behaviors, difficulties in communication, and unhealthy ways of resolving conflict, and this part is so important. In many cases, these men were exposed from a very young age to violent environment, dysfunctional relationship models, emotional deprivation, and similar experience. They often struggle with inhibitory control and anxiety. In some cases, we even diagnose chronic and untreated major depression. The most common statement we hear in therapy or in my experience are things like, I cannot control my behavior. I know it's wrong and I don't want to hurt her, but I don't know how to act differently. The primary goals are to stop violent behavior, to reduce the likelihood of reoffending, to promote accountability, to improve emotional regulation, and to change attitudes regarding gender, masculinity, and power. It is important to point out that in some situations, psychiatric intervention is needed to help them manage anxiety and improve their ability to regulate impulses. However, there are important challenges. Again, many offenders deny or minimize their abusive behavior. Some participate without true motivation, simply because it's a court order. Resources are sometimes limited, and not all regions have the same level of access to a specialized program. Additionally, measuring effectiveness is difficult because recidivism depends on many social, psychological, and economic factors. Still, research shows that well-designed, evidence-based programs can reduce reoffending, especially when combined with judicial monitoring and victim support service. Intervention with perpetrators or offenders is not a substantive for victim protection, but is an essential part of a comprehensive prevention strategy. To conclude, gender-based violence remains a significant problem in Spain, with hundreds of thousands of case reports each year. The data highlight both the magnitude of the issue and the importance of a strong institutional response, including protection for victims, specialized courts, and intervention programs for offenders. Preventing gender-based violence requires coordinated action across institutions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So our next speaker is Sinem Nasli Demir. She's a Turkish journalist and author, and after volunteering for a long time at the Maltepe Juvenile Prison, with the Be Aware Association she founded, she began working as a reporter in the field of crime and justice, worked for various media and TV channels, mainly focusing on femicide and child sexual abuse cases. Her first book, published in 2024, titled I Know My Killer, tells the life stories of 29 Turkish women. Since the publication of her book, she has been giving lectures and seminars on media language and violence and women's and children's rights, organized by municipalities, universities, and the European Union. TEDx, Berlin, BETAG, Munich, her career, Vienna, Vernetzungswochenende, networking weekend in English, against femicide, at the Dresden Technical University, METU, CYDD, IHA, and nearly 30 and 20 university. Currently, she's pursuing her master's degree in Germany and is writing her second book. Welcome you, and the stage is yours.
Thank you very much for inviting me. So hello everyone. So you did talk about me so well, so I don't have to need to introduce me that much.
Oh, please correct your name, the pronunciation of your name. I'm quite sure this was wrong.
Yeah, my name is Sinem Nazlı. So yeah, as
Welcome to you.
Thank you very much for your invite. So yeah, I'm crime reporter and my main topics are gang rape and femicide cases in Turkey, but now I'm living in Germany. So right now I'm also writing about Germany and crime. And yeah, I have a prison background as a worker. So I did work in prison 3 years with my NGO. I did work with children. And now I'm studying human rights. So today I did prepare you an interactive presentation. So right now I'm asking the page to share. Right now you should be able to see it. Is it okay for you? You can see. Okay, great. So let me do it whole page. Okay, I think now it's better, right? So I will be able to see your messages too, because I will ask some questions to you. So last 2 years, I work with municipalities and universities, and I talk about media language, because when we talk about women rights, media is not one of the big institutions. Media is the big institution against human rights sometimes. So when one woman got killed, for example, in some part of Europe, some journalists or some media companies just care about her beauty sometimes, or care about her age, or her nationality, or unfortunately, the way how she got killed. So today we will talk about it. And as femicide and feminicide, actually I take the definition of this, the killing of or forcing of all female individuals, from embryo to fetus, from baby to child, from adult to elderly, to commit suicide. Also, this is important, simply because of their gender, or as an excuse for actions contrary to gender perception. So let's start with some basic statistics. I know that this part may be a bit boring sometimes, but let's just take it. First, so according to World Health Organization, approximately 35% of women worldwide experience physical or sexual violence in their lifetime. So I will give a dip note to you right now. These are the statistics that we know. These are the statistics that shown on legal institutions. We also know that most of the violence cases, women cannot go to police. Women do not prefer to call the police, or women just has to be silenced at that home maybe for 20 years. So these statistics we talk about every feminist meeting, these are the statistics that we just know because of the legal institutions. So there is always more numbers, unfortunately, also in feminicide cases. So in the other presentation, I will go to some other countries, for example, yes, here. So let's take a look at Germany. So last year in Germany, every day, at least one woman got killed in Germany. So this is one of the highest rate in Germany as a European Union country. And let's take a look at the other country, which is we have USA. So it says 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men aged 18 and older in the US have been the victim of severe physical violence by an intimate partner in their lifetime. And let's take a look at my country. So in Turkey, last year, 394 women were killed. And this is such an important information. 259 women were found dead in suspicious circumstances. So that means we don't know if there is a perpetrator or not. But I know that this suspicious death statistics were so rare in my country back then, 10 years ago. But now, in some months, for example, last April, suspicious death numbers were higher than femicide cases, which is so unusual for my country. So this statistics says, hey, yes, you have a case of femicide and you need to take care of this problem. But hey, you have now a bigger problem, which is suspicious cases that we don't know if there is a perpetrator or not. So we take care statistics because it gives us some problems and solutions, it advice. But let's take a look at media. As a crime reporter, I always see some medias not with us, against us. For example, if one woman got killed, sometimes they say, it's not a femicide, maybe it's a family tragedy. Yes, it's a femicide, but it's jealousy of murder or crime of passion. So some of the journals or some of the articles says, yes, one woman got killed, but let's ask why. So this why goes to victim blaming. So we have empathy right now, but to the perpetrator because of this media language. So my first question is for you. Which of these sentences do you hear most? I will give you like 15 seconds. So like at the end of the year, do you hear 438 women were killed in 2023, or do you hear in 2033 438 perpetrators killed women? Which type of sentences do you hear most at the end of the year? So I should be able to see the see the messages. You can write one or two in the message place. Thank you very much. This was our first interactive question. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Başak. Thank you, Handan. Yeah, thank you, Maria. Thank you, Eloisa, Susanna. Thank you. So yes, because the other articles are still same. Valeria lay dead in a hole in the ground. So we ask as a feminist journalists, who is the perpetrator? Did Valeria kill herself? No. So we ask in this case, women stabbed in a fit of rage, husband convicted of manslaughter. How can you write stabbed in a fit of rage? So do you try to find excuses? I'm asking this to media. Verdict in manslaughter trial. Woman strangled in a fit of rage. So as you can see in some cases, yes, we see some information about women or about, people. But as you see here, sadistic husband, not a husband. In some cases, they say it's not a man, it's a man with psychological problems. So these articles, these titles help the perpetrator, not the woman. Or let's take a look at others. Sorry. Brutal murder, not a murder. Because sometimes some murders are magazinal murders, like popular. Women in Indonesia stabbed to death by jealous husband. Not a husband, not a perpetrator. Jealous husband. Man kills roommate after fight over woman. Not a murder. Love triangle murder. As you see, we give names to murder. We consume the crime like as a product with these news. Or let's take a look at others. Love, murder, marriage, like it's a Netflix movie. Or chopped to death, or serial killer but undetected, or cold-blooded murder. So with these cases, these articles affect people, and these people sometimes say, then why did the woman go to that club? Then why did that woman drink 5 beers at that day? Then why did the woman talk with a married man? What did you expect going out dressed like that? Why didn't they fight back? You shouldn't have gone home with them. Why did they get so drunk? Let's take a look at why was she here? Let's take a look at it. Why did she wear that? Let's take a look at it. Why did she hang out like this? So this is another question. Do we really consume the crime against women as a product via media? Some say yes, some say no. But when you check out the articles, sometimes I also say yes. So let's take a look at this. Woman shot dead, like there is no perpetrator. Or let's take a look at this. True crime. You won't forget, I will be famous. It's like a movie. It's like a TV series cover. So I say, as a crime reporter and the one who works with women, the language of peace heals. But the language of accusing, the language of victim blaming, the language of questioning women dress or thoughts or actions doesn't get through with peace. But now it's your turn. So I did prepare 5 questions to you. And you don't have to answer all of them, of course. If you don't feel comfortable, that's fine, but it will be interactive. So as I said, so if you think yes, you can write green in the chat. If you think no, you can write red in the chat. Let's start with first, and then we will understand more. If you think I also consume these news without even realizing it. If you say, yeah, sometimes, unfortunately, you can say green. If you say never, I never do that, you can write red. And there is no wrong, right decision. And I will also write, by the way, my answer. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, I will wait just 5 seconds to wait all of you. Thank you. And I have 5 minutes more. That's why I'm talking too fast. Sorry for my accent. So thank you, Andreas. Yeah. Thank you, Louise, Granny, Marita, Emine, Anne. Thank you. Let's keep going. The how of a feminicide is important. How she got killed. Do you think it's important with these articles or no? If you say yes, green. If you say no, red. If you are not sure, you can write green, red, or Naya, no, I'm not sure. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And thank you for your honesty, by the way. Yeah. Thank you. I'm just waiting for 5 seconds and then we will continue. Yeah. Thank you, Saskia. And thank you, Eloisa. In feminicide news, the woman's age and nationality are important information. Same applies here. And let me write my answer too. Thank you. Yeah, I will say my opinion about all of these questions, by the way, at the end of the presentation. Great. Okay, then thank you, Marita. Let's go to other question. In feminicide news, the perpetrator's photo always should be used. We know who is the perpetrator. There is no suspicious something. We know who is it. Thank you. You see, we have different opinions because this is not biology. We need to talk. Every question we need to talk maybe hours. Thank you very much for your honesty. And I think the last question, or not last, sorry. Okay, great. So this is the last one. If more women worked in the media, this problem would be solved easily, fast, more fast. Do you think it's the problem or no? Do you think it wouldn't change at all? Thank you very much. Yes, now we have different opinions again. Thank you. Yeah, so I will go back to first questions if everyone wrote. Okay, great. I think someone did talk, but maybe unintentionally. Okay. So this thing, I also consume these news. Let's go back to first one. I also consume these news without even realizing it. So as a journalists, as a reporters, we see the statistics of what society consumes as the news. So what do we see? When there is a more detail, when there is torture, when there is something suspicious like jealousy, love triangle, blah, blah, blah. Society reads this news more. So much more, by the way. So much more. There is a big gap with a ethical, normal news and with a really so many details and not ethical women news. There is big gap. And let's go back to other question. The half of a feminicide is important. So the half of a feminicide is important for police, for law. The half of a feminicide shouldn't be that much important for the society because we care about that one woman. We care about her dreams, her life, her right to live in this world. But media uses it to take your attention more, to get more money from your minutes on that news. And the other question, in feminicide news, the women's age and nationality are important information. Age is important information, dear friends. Age is really big information, but not to say, yeah, she did have a long life in her life and the other one didn't know. So we need statistics. And statistics, age is one of the biggest important information, so that we can understand who is big target in this country, who is big target in Afghanistan, who is big target in Turkey. Or for example, in child sexual abuses, doctors or reporters or experts take care of which age are more at risk. It doesn't mean that the others are not that important or we don't care that much. No, it's important to point some places more and take different actions more. Of course, 21 and 71 is the same importance for me. But for the science, it's so important to understand the risk and the target. Let's take a look at this. In feminicide news, the perpetrator's photo should be used. So in journalism, we have still discussion last 20 years. Some people say, let's just use the woman's photo. Some people say, let's just use the perpetrator's photo. I agree with both of them because they have good arguments. But we also say, never use them together. Never use their wedding photo. Never use their happy photo in feminicide news. And the last one. Just 2 minutes and then I will finish. And if more women worked in the media, this problem will be solved. Unfortunately, I don't believe this at all. Because it's not, the problem is not that we are not that crowded. The problem is that the mind of the society and women are so in that society. So in most companies, for example, in my country, yeah, so many people also in media and sometimes politics, but they get the vibe of manner mind because they think that's how they will be CEO or the boss. So these are the, if I have 2 minutes, I will ask these questions. If not, I will, do I have? Okay. Okay, thank you very much. So I did prepare 2 questions for you, and one of it about increasing and the other one is decreasing. So the question is, you can talk a bit more, of course. What should we increase to stop news that misrepresents women? I will also write my idea. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, and I can say them. Role models, thank you. Female editors, and with question mark. Education, thank you very much. Ethic media rules, ethical reporting. Thank you very much. We should have ethical rules. Yeah. Yeah. More diversity in editing, that's great, by the way. Education, empowerment. Yeah. Awareness, education. Female editors and strong female journalists. Yeah. Role models, thank you very much. Yes, then I continue the last question. Education from secondary school. Thank you very much, Monica. What should we reduce to stop news that misrepresents women? What should be less in our society? Yeah, this answer is for the first question. What should we reduce to stop news that misrepresents women? Let me also write my idea. Great, Brianna. Thank you very much. Sexism and biography, patriarchal mindset, show the problems. Thank you very much. Yes, patriarchal mindset. Bell Hooks says, if society stops talking, inside keep going, because we all were raised maybe this patriarchal mindset. And paparazzi news, thank you very much. Ensure that such news is called out. Yeah, public broadcasters such as the BBC in the UK Yeah, RTE in Ireland must be accountable to license payers. Sexist language. Yeah, thank you very much. So this is the last part. I know that I did talk a bit. To reduce violence against women, media must stop excusing perpetrators and start exposing the structures that enable violence. Words are not natural. They shape how society perceives femicide. By changing the language, yeah, we can maybe change the whole culture. So these are my contact information. Thank you very much for inviting me again. I hope I will meet you with another project one day. And now I am stopping my sharing, and now I'm with you again. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for just sharing these insights with us. And well, the last speaker is finally Marit Leivoniemi. She's a Finnish attorney at law, specializing in LGBTQ rights, particularly transgender rights, a board member of the National Council of Women in Finland. And she's worked as an attorney with many different minority groups, including trans women, asylum seekers, LGBTQ communities, and victims of human trafficking. Through her work as an attorney, she has witnessed many forms of violence that women face in Finland. So warm welcome to you, and the stage is yours.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm the only one without presentation, but I would like to start my presentation by a quote from one of my inspirations as a lawyer, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who was a Supreme Court judge in the US, and she has said this. Quote starts, fight for the things that you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you. And thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with you. And I'm sending you greetings from Turku in Finland. I would like to start by introducing myself. Like you said, I'm a lawyer and lawyer here in Finland, and for over 10 years. And and this year I passed the Finnish bar exam, so I'm also an attorney. And I also speak here as board member of the National Council of Women of Finland. And I have worked as a lawyer for over 10 years. I started my career at the Finnish Refugee Advice Center, where I worked with asylum seekers for 3 years. And after that, I have been working in different LGBTQI+ organizations in Finland. And now I work in a small attorney office here in Turku. And I can maybe tell a little bit more about the National Council of Women of Finland. We are for over 100 years. We have been working for women in Finland, and we are a feminist umbrella organization for women and gender equality associations, promoting human rights, gender equality, and non-discrimination. And we are the largest coalition of women rights organizations here in Finland, and we have over 70 different kinds of organizations working together for women's rights here in Finland. And it would be nice to start this to go deeper in the issue by saying that Finland is a model country for equality, like we have said here in the beginning of 2000s. But unfortunately, Today, Finland is one of the most dangerous places to be a women in Europe. And that is really sad news for all the women in Finland. Violence against women is a really serious issue here in Finland, and over 75% of Finnish women have faced violence in its different forms. And most of the perpetrators are men. 74% of perpetrators are men. And in Finland, we see this many perpetrators are close relatives or spouse for women who are victims of violence. And I have prepared a short list of key points about violence against women in Finland. Like I said, the situation in Finland is not good, and there are many organizations that are trying to make a change possible, but it's really hard at the moment. I'm sad to say that we have a government at the moment where there is parties who support openly anti-gender movement, and that's a really big issue. Anti-gender movement is rising in Europe and especially in Finland. And when I work with trans people, I see that every day in my daily work. And like I said, the numbers tell us that there is a deep structural problem in Finnish society when it comes to violence against women. Over half of Finnish women have experienced some kind of violence. And also, I have worked with different minority groups, asylum seekers, victims of human trafficking, trans women, migrant women, disabled women. And when it comes to women in minority groups and disabled women, the risk of violence is 2 to 4 times higher than cisgender women or women without disabilities. And when I have worked with trans women, we see that the most vulnerable group is trans women. And also one really big issue in Finland is that young women face extreme levels of online abuse. About 87% of young women have witnessed or experienced digital violence in Finland. So I can say that it's a deep structural problem here in Finland. And one issue here in Finland that the women's support system is not adequate enough. We have shelter spaces in Finland, but not enough. Many organizations have worked that there would be increase of shelter spaces, but the shelter spaces are mostly in big cities like in Helsinki, in Turku, in Tampere. But for women who are living outside of big cities, they might have really big, really long journeys to take to get shelter. For example, in Lapland, the journey to nearest shelter can be over 2 or 3 hours long by car. And the other issue is outpatient services, which are severely under-resourced. At the moment, we can see some same tendencies as in the US. Finnish government has heavily, what's the term? Sorry. Defunded Finnish non-governmental organizations. For example, many organizations that work with women's rights, human rights, global social issues, LGBTQI+ organizations, they all have faced really massive, sorry. They have been defunded, like in US, and that's a really big issue because if these organizations do not have resources, they cannot work properly. And for example, the organizations Transfeminines NGO that I worked for 2 years was severely underfunded, and now I no longer work there because they don't have they no longer had funds to employ people. Many organizations have had to cut staff, and all that is really sad, and really that work was really needed. So it's a really big issue that the non-governmental organizations cannot work properly in Finland. And some positive steps have been made in recent years in Finland, but not enough. For example, reform of sexual offense law is now consent-based, and removal of mediation for intimate partner violence cases are steps in the right direction, but clearly not enough. And what Finland, in my opinion, must do next. One is to increase funding across all services, shelters, crisis support, prevent. Like I said, what Finland must do next to increase funds, but also create strong structures for well-being reasons to meet Istanbul Convention obligations. And we also need a reform legislation and ensure systematic training for policies, healthcare, social services, and education sectors. And also we must improve investigations so violence against women is handled promptly and thoroughly. Okay. Do I still have time, or should we go to questions and answers?
I mean, can you summarize it a little? So maybe a few main statements.
The main statement is that the violence against women is a really big structural issue in Finnish society, and from my point of view, the Finnish government is not doing enough at the moment, since there is parties in the government that have ties to anti-gender movement. From my point of view, anti-gender movement is a really big issue in Finland that is rising right now. And the National Coalition of Women in Finland, we have this coalition of organizations who are fighting against anti-gender movement here in Finland. Okay.
Thank you so much.